Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Decisions Lunch and Learn. I'm going to be your host for today, Gregory Goldston, on this Monday, April 28th. As a reminder, take a look at our Decisions YouTube channel. We still got stuff going there. Good stuff. Stuff that you'd probably be curious to learn about. So take a look at the channel. We have a variety of short form content, long content, talking about specific topics, how to use particular steps, or completely other parts of the platform. So give it a check out. We have our Decisions Project Roadmap review back, and you can sign up for that at decisions.com/events. Including included in things that you can sign up for at decisions.com/events is, of course, the Decisions Submersed event, which will be happening next week, Monday through Thursday, May 5th through May 8th. So you can sign up at decisions.com/events. We will be going through a new project that we have not done before. So unlike the purchase request, this is going to cover a different set of concepts, such as runtime selection, um, API calls, and a variety of other different things. So highly recommend taking a look there. Okay. And that is the primary thing that I had to share. So now, as I can see, we have a lot of people here. If you all will share your questions in the Q&A, that would be fantastic. I'm going to switch over to my decision screen so we can answer them in an easier format. So you can start putting stuff part of me while I move over that screen. Okay, and there we go. All right, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, all right, all right. Yeah, we can see that all. Fantastic. All right. Got a lot of people here today, and let me bring up the Q&A. All right, well, I've got a question already. Let me move this to a different screen. It's just gonna be easier for me to see this. All right, here we go. Cool. So, first question is from Grant Long, which asks, so if we went to the last one, would it be beneficial to come to the next one, or will it mainly be the same topics as the last one? Okay, so let me let me explain how this works. If you've been to a submerse before, this is going to cover some different topics than the previous submerse would have, at least as far as the project is concerned. Of course, we want to go over the basics, that's important, but the project we'll be building will be new and will demonstrate some different concepts into the platform. If you're asking about future submerse, I am not certain as far as which projects we will be running at those submerse at this time. Let me unmute you just to make sure. Oh, you said okay, thank you. All right, cool. So that all made sense there. Glad to hear it. All right. So, well, that's question number one asked and answered. If anyone else has anything else, now's the time. By the way, I'm in Decisions version 9.10 right now. So we got some new enhancements in this one. Uh, one enhancement is going to be the way that API calls work to the Decisions platform. You had a pre-submitted question. Let me take a look for that, Wayne. Apologies. I did not see that earlier, so let me make sure that I have that. Did you submit it today? Yes. Did you submit it to training@decisions.com? I'm looking for this thing. I don't see it. You can explain. You got it. Let me unmute you. Let's just go with that. I'm not sure why I don't see the question. I'm sorry for that. And I'm still looking. I don't see it. But yeah. Well, I let you talk. What's your question, Wade?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just submitted it when I signed up for the webinar training, so I don't know where those go, but that's how I submitted it.
Through the webinar training.
Yeah,
Okay.
how I registered today for the webinar. I did it like an hour ago, and then I
Okay. Oh,
put,
and it sends a pre-submitted question when it asks you to sign up. Is that what it is?
well, yeah, when you sign up, it says what's your question. So I put my question in there. So I don't know on your end where those go, but that's how I submitted it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, usually they get submitted through training. Let me confirm that. Actually, hey Jeremy, you might know this. So
Yeah.
typically when we get pre-submitted questions, they're emailed to training@decisions.com. We see them in there and then we go over them. There is a sign up for it that also asks for your question when you sign up for LNL, and that is where Wade submitted his question. Do you know where those go?
Yes, I think so. Let me check real quick.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, I'll just let you know, but I could just, yeah, I guess if you got time, I could ask it right now.
Yeah, yeah. And for as many people as we have in this room, we don't actually have a lot of questions right
Oh,
now,
okay.
so we'll try and pull it up. No, no rush on that. You're definitely the next one. If you pre-submit it, we're gonna answer yours. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, an explanation is always helpful, but let's see if we can at least get the question. Um, my bad. I did not know that those went to a separate place.
When did you register, Wade, and ask the question?
What, I could barely hear you. What?
So when did you register and ask the question?
I registered at 9:48 a.m. Eastern time
Today?
today. That's when I got the confirmation email back from Decisions.
Oh,
So I don't want to take up everybody's time, just kind of going through just the registration process. But
No, you're good. You're good.
yeah,
It's all good, man. This is on us. If you
I,
see
I was just,
pre-submit,
I'll just let you know that that's where it was. But yeah, that's
nice. Well, if you don't mind asking the question now, that would be great. And we can have a dialogue and figure out what you're looking for.
sure. Thank you. So I'm one of the people from transferred from version 8 to version 9.
Okay.
So I had a project, and at the time, I only had a dev and prod environment. So
Okay.
so I had the old type of project uh, from that I deployed from dev to prod, and part of that was a name session and a user attached to that. And then so in dev and prod, I have a name session and a user with the exact same ID in each environment.
Okay.
We upgraded to version 9, added another instance, and then now I'm trying to deploy from uh, dev to test and prod, but then users don't seem to be a part of projects anymore. And so how does that work as far as deploying a named session from environment to environment, but that named session needs that user to be there for that named session? So I guess that was the background, but like how does named session works with projects now? Like
I see what you're saying.
you can deploy the named session itself, but the user attached to that doesn't go along with it.
Okay, I have a quick question to follow up then. Is this named session created at the project level or at the system level?
It is created at the project level.
Okay, so a named session at the project level, which has users at the system level, because the users are always at the system level. And now we're trying to deploy that named session from dev to two different higher environments.
Yeah. I do test first, of course, but
Mhm.
so for example, I go from dev to test, deploy the named session. The named session doesn't exist when I deploy it because there's no user or account rather with that ID in that environment.
So we have to get the account into that environment.
Yeah, so you try to get the account, but there's no place to tie a user slash account, whatever you want to call it, to a project.
Right.
Like right where you're looking at, security doesn't even have users within a project.
Exactly.
Like I
You
understand you want users at the system level because they could be used system wide rather than just within a project, but is there a way to keep that user along with environments, therefore keeping the ID, or are we not meant to do that?
Let me think about that. I do have another follow-up question on this. Are these password authenticated, or is this SSO or AD? Where are the users coming from?
So those users are, it's like a system user
Right.
that we're
I
using.
guess how
Yeah.
are they authenticating? Do you have a single sign-on method, or are they
For-
just enter password, enter name, it's native decisions account, just create it here?
yeah, it's a native decisions account because we're
Okay.
using it as a system user, so not an actual person is logging in. We're using it for API calls.
That's fine. What I was trying to avoid having is that if we moved an account that was part of SSO, which gets its identity from an SSO provider, that would create duplicates and create a problem. That's what I was trying to avoid is something like
Okay,
that. Yeah.
gotcha.
Okay. All right. So system account. System is going to be in test sessions. Test sessions gets pushed to a repository. Repository um has it. Yeah. I'm also going to let Vitali speak in on this one. I see that he has his hand raised. Hold on, let me get my participants up again. Hello, Vitali. You were good to speak.
Yeah, so best practice for this one should be create a name session based on a group because groups can travel from environment to environment and accounts cannot travel for security reasons. So basically what you would do, you would create a group that can travel from one environment to another environment, but accounts that you add to this group, you need to create either logic or um, just manually do that. It's just security between the environments.
Let me look
So you
into
can
that.
you can tie name session to a group. That's the best practice.
Oh, I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I'm trying to figure out how to like work with what's already been created in the other instances as far as accounts. But yes, I know what you're saying. Like as far as not tying it to a particular user. So
Gregory, if that's gonna be like SSO or whatever,
it's
when
not.
it doesn't matter. When person logs in, you can attach a group to that person. Well, put that person into a group, which will give them permissions that that group has and tie to the name session.
I haven't seen that you can tie a group to a name session. When you
Yeah,
add a name session, it only allows you to do accounts, right?
that's what I'm looking at too. I'm trying to figure out if this is like a system-wide one, like if we were to add one here. No, it's just for account ID. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Might be a different way to tie it in, but I'm not seeing that here. I might need to reach out to someone about that, Wade, as far as the best way to resolve that, because it looks like this has definitely come up before.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, and maybe I guess I don't necessarily know how it's supposed to work, or maybe that's not intended, however it's supposed to be. So do I, if this is how it's supposed to work, do I then don't attach name session uh, to a
Account.
project, so when it deploys, it doesn't fail when that account isn't there, or is it there is, or if there is some way to attach that account to the project?
Well, the thing is the accounts aren't going to be pushed just with how it is set up. That's what I'm looking at here is I
Okay.
don't think there's a way to push the account, and I'm trying to
Yeah.
get a best outcome
and
for you right
and
now.
that's what's was kind of weird with my situation coming from version 8. I deployed the old project, which you could do somehow an account attached in there, because I noticed in prod and dev I have the same exact account with the same exact ID and name session. So when I deploy from I check in from dev and I check out from test, test doesn't have any name session, but prod does because that account exists with that exact ID that was in dev. But I
I
can't
see.
do that anymore because I already upgraded to 9, so it's not a thing anymore.
Right, right. What you would be looking to do is to push the name session, even if it doesn't have the account, and then most likely create the account in your test. That's probably the way to handle that. But
Wouldn't
I,
it?
what were you gonna say?
Oh, sorry. Wouldn't it overwrite? So if I push it to their, if I push it to test, and
Hmm.
then it doesn't show up, so I have to add the name session to the project again, is it going to override that, or say I need to check in that new session and test, and then they're going to like conflict because I created it in both different environments?
I see what you're saying. I think, I think the best option here. I have a quick question. Have you opened a support ticket for this?
No, I guess I initially was trying to get from the lunch and learn, like, how is it supposed to work, or is
How
this
it's
intended?
supposed to work is that you push the name sessions up individually. They should be showing up without an account tied to them, and you just remap the account. Like if you create the same account, it would have a different ID, of course, create in a different environment. You map it to that name session, and that's how you keep it. That's typically how it's expected to work in version 9.
They
I'm
just don't
trying
show up at
to
all.
Yeah, that sounds like a separate issue. That's what I'm trying to figure out here because one thing is not having the account tied to it. That's expected. You would have to remap the account. It's not supposed to. Um, the problem is with the
I was
session not
suggestion.
showing up at all.
So this issue is close to what like post to flow works. So post to flow, you need to create an account for that, and if you deploy from one environment to another, it will be missing. And on the uh, checkout, you can create a flow. When you check out project or check out changes from repository, you can create a flow that will say if that name session tries to reach out to this account, just update that. Same as a post flow. If that account is not found, try to reach out to this account and map that on checkout project. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So you can create a flow. You can create a flow and update name sessions within the flow.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be nice if instead of you could connect it to account ID, because account ID would be different across environments. You could connect it to email, which would be the same across environments. That's what would be nice. Because when you pick, that's what you pick anyways, the email, but that's not what it's actually storing. It's storing the ID.
Right.
Right. Wait. But you need to create a flow for that.
Let Wade, let me recommend a support ticket for this because they can look into your environment and take a look at why it's not populating. The name session not populating is kind of strange. The right procedure would be to push the name session in, update the account for it, and then you're good to go. But if the name session isn't showing up at all from the checkout from the repo into test, that should probably have someone look into that that can actually jump into your environment and see what's going on.
Okay, yeah. My guess is that it's looking for the account. The account mismatches. So my guess is it just doesn't.
It should push it
update.
without the account from what I'm looking, and you can push the name session without the account on check-in. Like that should be a thing that can happen.
Oh,
Are you
okay.
seeing any errors when you check it out, or does it just complete with no errors and you don't see it?
Um, I'll have to double. I mean, I don't see any errors. I'll have to see what it says if it says like override or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah.
But there's no errors per se.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, this is kind of strange. I definitely would recommend someone taking a look to make sure that things are getting even sent to the repo correctly, because those are the two places you want to check. Is the check into the repo capturing what we want it to, and is the checkout, pushing what we want it to? Is it thinking it still exists there and is not choosing to update it. That there are multiple different things that could be going on here, and having someone look into your environment is really going to be the best way to figure out how to fix this so that we don't just put like a small patch on something that could be a problem later down the line.
Right. Okay. And if you and let's say the way it's normally supposed to work, if you create it in dev, send it to test,
Hmm.
and then okay, well, it's a different account ID, so I need to remap that.
Right.
And
Yeah,
then
that's how
you
it should
just,
work.
I mean, and then, but if you would somehow check that in, would then it, and then go back to dev and check it out, would it then override that ID there? So you'd have to remap it there.
Um,
So you just
it
never
might. So wait,
make a
you're
point to
going.
never check it in the other environments.
So wait a minute, you're checking it into test, and
No,
then you're
I'm
making
just,
changes in test, and then you're
no,
overriding the repo?
that was a hypothetical.
Oh,
Like,
okay, okay.
if I don't do that, but like I'm just saying, if that's the way it works, if you for some reason checked in test, which I think you would always check out in test and
Right,
never
right.
check it, yeah.
But if you checked into the repository and then you pulled from the repo to dev, that's what you're asking. Would it override that association?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Um,
I
Let me
think it
think
would
about
just,
this.
hey, the ID set it this, set it as that, then dev would,
Gregory, it will override it.
It sounds like it would. It
yeah.
seems like it would override it if you were to do that, because it would be looking for the newest repository version. I don't see why it wouldn't. Yeah,
And then,
hypothetically, if you were to do that, that would probably override the dev instance association.
okay. And then
Probably.
I guess my last kind of thought on it was,
Mhm.
maybe as should from environment to environment, should that name session just should the ID be different in general, just for security purposes, to make so you don't have the same name session across environments. So for some reason someone gets that name session ID, they could then go to the other environments and use it. Like, should I just
Well,
have
it's
that
associated for
separate?
different accounts, right? So even if they get the same name session, like the account associated with is going to be different. I get because you have
Yeah.
credentials for like,
Well,
you know, the account, not the name
yeah.
session.
Well, for whatever, because the whole version 8 situation, my dev and prod are the same name session ID. Because
Right.
that user exists in both environments.
On the named session not showing up in prod, or it does check out. I've seen this before. And how I overcome that, because it's not finding the ID for some reason, the report just doesn't show it, but it is there. If you look in the database, it is there, but since it can't find the account, it doesn't display it in the report.
Oh, so if I would edit the report, could I then see it, or is it just like
It
in,
depends.
if
It's
I did a
how, I don't know how
query?
the report is joining the two tables. For some reason, if it doesn't find anything in the account table, it won't bring it up.
Oh, okay. So if I do like
So
you're
it's
doing
it's
right now,
there,
the
because if you
query
look in the
editor.
database at the table of named sessions, it is there, but the account ID it's looking up is not. That's why it's
Oh,
not,
okay.
that's why it's not appearing, but it did check it out into your higher environment. It is there in the database.
So you can
Uh,
confirm that by running a quick query like this, right-click query editor and do a selection on the named session table, and that will show you a list of your named sessions.
got it.
And how I've overcome this is I've built a flow that then I can run in prod to then pull over that account from dev with that ID and create it in prod with the same ID.
Oh, you can update an account ID.
I can create an account with a specified ID.
Oh,
So I'll
well,
create a new account via a flow in prod after I query the dev database for the account to get the ID used in dev, and then create the account in prod with the same ID.
Jeremy, I think it's not a good idea.
I was gonna say, you may want to reach out to support Stillway just in case
okay.
with that ID creation, because that does mean that the exact same account exists on all three environments. That may or may not be a security.
It is a security issue because if your dev is compromised and dev is not as secure as prod, as we know, And if your dev is compromised, then all your environments are compromised.
Okay, yeah, I guess that was my earlier question. That last part was like, do I even want to do this? And
No.
it sounds like I,
No,
I
you don't.
sounds
Probably
like I don't.
not.
I do want it to be different for each one, and maybe I don't put it as part of the project, because if I put it the project, the name session ID will be the same if I deploy it from environment to environment, right?
Name session is fine, but account that is attached to, I would not copy that over the environment.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Name session ID is fine.
Yeah, I would check this table, see if it's still there, reach out to support to confirm as far as how to handle that specifically for how your environment's set up, because I know you kind of have a somewhat unique case. Um,
Right.
but
Okay.
yeah, that's what I would
Okay.
recommend.
Well, thank you for reviewing that.
Of course,
Very
absolutely.
helpful.
Yeah, if I do have any more information on that, I will send you an email, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Sure thing. All right, and thank you everyone else for hopping in. Do we have more questions? We do. On a report filter, how do I prevent it from sorting the string list? How do I prevent it from sorting the string list on a report filter? Okay. Let's make sure that I understand this. You should be still unmuted
Yeah,
already,
I'm
Jeremy.
trying to create a report filter with a runtime editable with a drop down picker list of months. And I want it
Okay.
to be in calendar order, but it's sorting it alphabetically.
Um, and then we want, let me do get month, just so we can see from field create on date. Okay, so you've got something like this, and it's sorting it.
Well, no, not that. The filters. I create a filter on a field in the table that contains months. The word, the spelled out month.
Okay.
And when I then configure that filter, say if you do like an equals, like get month equals, and
Uh-huh.
then do runtime behavior is runtime editable, show picker, specified list, and then I put in all the months in calendar order, January, February, March, but when I actually run the report, it alphabetizes them.
Interesting. That should be enough for us to test right here. And then,
And so even in that list, it alphabetized them.
it alphabetized the months.
Yeah, it sorted the months
I
instead of
see,
leaving
I
them in the
see
list.
right
I want them
here.
in a specified order, but it's taking it, it's on
Oh,
its own, it's deciding to sort them alphabetically.
I get what you're saying for the select value on the specified
Yeah, I want
list.
that drop down list to be in the order I specify,
I
not,
got you. Okay, that makes sense. If I click on this, do I have a... That shouldn't change that. I see. So yeah, it's the filter that needs this. Ooh. Okay, why did that work? As soon as I hit enable other, look,
that's very interesting.
that is very interesting. So did that just update it? No. As soon as I hit enable other and there's an other option, it treats it like the list that I have here. That's so strange. So now if I were to run this report and then I don't know if you want another option on that per se. I don't even see the other option coming up. I'm guessing if you get rid of this, you can put other, but as soon as you check that box, it orders it.
Interesting. Yeah, I would think there would also be an option to whether or not to sort or how to sort.
Honestly, this sounds like a DT. This sounds like something that I need to reach out about and try to get fixed on. Like, you're right. There should be a feature for that. I'll reach out and I can actually create that request and see if we can get that approved or not. But as far as a quick way to get your list in order, that would be a way to do it.
Yeah, I'll do that for now because that solves the
Also,
problem at the moment.
I'm also not seeing an other option, so I'm not sure where that would be located. Maybe if I just hit apply with nothing, maybe, maybe that's what it is. Just gives you the option to do that. Yeah. Um, I'll reach out, Jeremy. I'll see if I can get I'll let you know the status of that. I will create it for you, and then whatever the devs choose to do from there, I'll let you know.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You got it. All right. Cool, cool, cool. Anyone else have any other questions? It's okay if you don't. We're gonna have people here Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to answer whatever y'all got, so that's not going to be an issue. I'll give it a few more minutes waiting in here, and if people do have questions. What's new in 9.10? So as far as 9.10 goes, there aren't any strict new features. However, there are enhancements. So underneath the enhancements, the biggest one that I want to talk about is the way that integrations work. So let me make a flow. All right. And we're gonna call this I'll just call it get recipes. We don't really need to create the logic to demonstrate what's going on here. But before, when you set up an integration, you'd set up over here, you'd set it to API service, and then once that happens, it generates a URL and gives you methods, right? However, when I do it this time, you'll see that I get to specify what gets called here. So I'm going to call this get recipes. All right. And now here I'm going to configure post call input. Why not? Post and get. All right. Now when I hit view, you'll notice that, pardon me for a moment while this loads. It calls it by REST API / the project name / the URL that you specify. So you now have more customizability in how that URL is called. There are some other parts of this, I believe, that I am still exploring, so I do not mind showing those off when I am back here on Wednesday. But I would say this is the biggest upgrade, the biggest enhancement coming out in version 9.10. We do not have any strictly new features because it's still an API call, right? But hope that at least gives you a little bit of what to look forward to. And actually, come Wednesday, I'm going to have a lot more information on what some of those new features are going to be. We're also going to allow, where are my charts? Let me create a page. Wrong one. Let me create a page. My page. So your chart part, right? Should be not designer entities. Tiles? Reports? Might be reports, charts. Yeah. So your chart parts are now going to respect filters, date time filters on the page. So when you have one of those dragged up here and then you have a date time filter for the entire page, it doesn't just affect the report anymore. Charts are going to get affected by those as well if you set them up too. See, respect date range filter on page. That will function. So pretty big, again, update, not necessarily a new feature. But yeah. those are I will have more to answer that question for you as far as 910 come Wednesday. But right now, those are the two big ones that I have worked with a bit and know about. So I'm going to do some more exploring on that and have more information for you later. Yeah, absolutely, Grant. Okay. I I think we might just wrap this up then, if I'm not seeing any more questions in the Q&A. Yeah, I think we might just call this a day then. I am looking forward to seeing y'all tomorrow and on Wednesday and probably on Thursday. So yeah, hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. If you have any more questions, I will make sure that I know where to get the pre-submitted ones that are not through email in the future. All right. Have a good day, y'all.